He complimented the alien girl and her tentacles froze mid-air. Rhett. Carter was just trying to be nice. He didn't mean to start an interplanetary incident. He was a human mechanic, born on Earth, now working at Outpost Vir 9, a space station shared by many species. His life was quiet. Fix broken panels, avoid angry officers, and drink strong black coffee. But today was different. Today, he saw her. She stood near the docking bay examining cargo crates, tall, graceful, and shimmering like sunlight on water. Her name was Jaya, one of the newcomers from the ocean world Trellin. Her skin was smooth and blue-green, and behind her back, long, soft tentacles swayed gently in the air, glowing slightly. Rhett had never seen anything like her, and before he could stop himself, the words slipped out of his mouth. "Hey, your tentacles look great today." Jaya stopped moving, completely. Her tentacles froze in the air. Even the soft lights along her body dimmed slightly. Rhett blinked. In a good way. She turned her head slowly toward him. Her big silver eyes were wide, almost glowing. "You said that to me?" she asked softly. Rhett scratched the back of his neck. "Yeah, just a compliment. You know, like, nice hair." More silence. Jaya's skin changed color. Faint pink streaks appeared across her cheeks. Then she turned quickly and walked away, her tentacles shaking as she moved. Rhett stood there, confused. What did I say? An hour later, he sat in the mess hall pushing food around on his tray, still thinking about it. His friend Kira, a half-human translator, sat across from him. "You said what to a Trellian?" she asked, eyes wide. "I just told her tentacles looked nice." Kira dropped her fork. "Oh no. Rhett, that's a mating phrase." He froze. "A what?" Kira leaned in, whispering. "Trellians don't take compliments lightly. That sentence is sacred. It's usually said during courtship, or when asking for a lifelong bond." Rhett's mouth went dry. "You're kidding." She shook her head. "I translated for a Trellian diplomat once. One compliment. One. And his clan started building a house for the bride." Rhett leaned back. "I'm dead." Kira laughed. "Not yet. But you might be engaged." Back near Dock 4, Zaya sat alone in her chamber, heart racing. She replayed the human's words again and again in her mind. "Your tentacles look great today." She felt the heat rise through her body again. No one had ever said that to her, not even in the formal way. Her tentacles twitched nervously. Was it a joke? Was he serious? She had heard humans were strange, casual, unpredictable. But she had watched Rhett before. The way he helped his crew, the way he smiled even when tired, the way he gently fixed broken things like they mattered. She hadn't expected those words from him, and now her clan would expect a bond. Meanwhile, Rhett paced the hall outside engineering. "Okay. It's fine," he muttered to himself. "She probably forgot about it. I'll just explain, clear it up." Before he could knock on her door, it opened. Jaya stood there, beautiful and unreadable. She tilted her head. "You have come," she said. "Yeah, I need to talk to you about earlier." Jaya stepped aside. "Come. You may speak to the family representative." Rhett blinked. "Wait, what family?" And then he saw them. 3 older Trellians standing behind her, tall and glowing, looking directly at him. One held a ceremonial ribbon. The other was holding what looked like a bonding tablet. Rhett froze, his voice cracked. "Oh no." She accepts the compliment and declares him her chosen mate. Rhett Carter stood frozen at the door. In front of him were 3 tall Trellians, all watching him with serious eyes. Their skin shimmered in quiet colors. Their tentacles moved slowly, gracefully, but Rhett could feel the tension in the air. Beside them stood Zaya. She looked calm. Too calm. "Please enter," she said softly. Rhett stepped in, his boots feeling far too loud on the smooth floor. "I think there's been a little misunderstanding," he said nervously. One of the older Trellians stepped forward. He wore dark robes and carried a long scroll. I am Errol, clan witness. This meeting is to confirm the acceptance of your public phrase. My... what? Jaya turned toward him. The phrase you gave earlier. You said my tentacles looked great. You said it in public, with confidence. Rhett scratched his head. Well, yeah, but I didn't mean it like... that is, I didn't know it meant anything. Errol narrowed his eyes. You spoke the ancient mating phrase in the presence of 3 witnesses. The bond is already forming. I just said they looked good, Rhett protested. Where I'm from, that's like saying nice jacket. Jaya blinked. You compliment jackets the same way you choose a life partner? Rhett groaned. Okay, yeah, humans are weird, I get it. Jaya stepped forward, her voice quiet but firm. I accept the phrase. I accept the bond. Rhett's eyes widened. You... what? She looked at him with serious, shining eyes. You saw me when no one else did. You spoke to me kindly. No games. No hidden meanings. I believe your words were true, even if you didn't mean to say them the way we hear them. Rhett opened his mouth, then closed it. What was he supposed to say? He looked around the room, the scroll, the glowing witnesses, the soft light coming from Jaya's tentacles. She wasn't teasing him. She wasn't even excited. She was hopeful and scared. He sighed and sat down on the bench in the corner. Okay. Can we slow this down a little? I don't even know what Trellian courtship looks like. Errol spoke. You will undergo the bond readiness rituals. There will be 4 stages. A final union is only official if both parties agree after the final step. Rhett blinked. Wait, so we're not married yet? Jaya smiled faintly. No, not yet. Rhett relaxed a little. All right, that's, something. Later, Rhett walked back to the human quarters, still thinking about everything. Kira ran up to him. Well, what happened? I might be dating her now, Rhett said. Kira blinked. You're what? It's complicated. That night, Jaya stood on her balcony looking at the stars. Her hearts were beating fast. She hadn't expected him to stay, and when he did, something inside her shifted. Maybe he didn't mean to begin this, but maybe he won't run away either. Far across the station, Rhett stared at the ceiling of his bunk. He had no idea what tomorrow would bring. Alien rituals, strange traditions, tentacles. But one thing was clear. This wasn't just about a joke anymore. He tries to apologize, but her reaction surprises everyone. Rhett Carter had spent all night thinking about her, about the compliment, about the way her eyes looked when she said, I accept the bond. Now standing outside the Trellian quarters, he felt nervous, not because he was afraid of her, but because he didn't want to hurt her. He took a deep breath and knocked. A soft voice answered. Enter. He walked inside. Jaya stood near the window, her tentacles glowing faintly, coiled calmly behind her back. She looked peaceful, but there was something in her posture, like she was preparing for pain. Rhett spoke first. Jaya, I need to be honest with you. She turned slowly. I didn't know what that compliment meant. On Earth, we say things like that all the time. It doesn't mean marriage or bonding or forever. She said nothing. I'm not trying to hurt you, he added softly. I just didn't want you to think I made a promise I didn't understand. Jaya was quiet for a long time. Then she looked away and whispered, Was I not beautiful to you? The words hit Rhett like a punch to the chest. What? No, it's not that at all. Her voice shook. You said the phrase that means I see you. I desire you. But now you say it meant nothing. Rhett stepped forward. I didn't know it meant that, but I meant it when I said it. You are beautiful. I just didn't know it would. Change your whole world. Jaya closed her eyes, and then, to his surprise, she smiled, soft, sad, but real. I'm not angry, Rhett, she said gently. I'm just not used to being seen. He blinked. Seen? She looked up. Where I come from, tentacles are seen as tools, not beauty. My own kind never compliment them. They expect them to be perfect, controlled, quiet. Her tentacles swayed softly now. When you said they looked great, it was the first time someone called them beautiful. Rhett didn't know what to say, so he did the only thing he could. He stepped closer and reached out. She flinched slightly, then stilled as his hand gently brushed one of her tentacles. They are beautiful, he said. And so are you. Jaya's glow deepened. Her cheeks turned soft pink. You may not know the meaning of our phrases, she whispered, but your eyes don't lie. Suddenly the door opened. Errol, the clan witness, entered with a nod. Phase 1 is complete. You will now begin the second trial. Emotional truth. Rhett frowned. What's that? Jaya looked at him with a small smile. It means you spend time with me and let your heart speak. Rhett grinned. Sounds easier than fixing cargo. Doors. As they walked side by side, Jaya asked, Does this mean you'll stay? Rhett looked at her. I don't know where this leads yet, but I'm not running. And this time, when her tentacles wrapped gently around his hand, he didn't pull away. He squeezed back. Her people test him, and he passes without even knowing. The Trellian bonding rituals were quiet, not loud or full of speeches like Earth weddings. They were made of actions, small things, moments, and tests. Some spoken, most not. Rhett Carter didn't know he was being tested. He just thought he was spending the day with Jaya. They walked through the gardens of Outpost Veer 9. Alien trees curled upward like glass ribbons. The air smelled of salt and stone. Jaya led him gently. She said very little, but her people were watching. First came the test of stillness. They sat under a tall flower canopy. One flower dropped sap from its center, a sweet smell that made most humans itch or sneeze. But Jaya said, This is my favorite place. I come here to feel calm. Rhett didn't sneeze, didn't move away. He smiled and said, Then I like it here too. Jaya said nothing, but her tentacles curled softly around one another. She was pleased. Next came the test of truth. A Trellian elder named Sivra asked to join them at the water pools. She was old and wise, her skin almost silver. Her tentacles didn't move at all, they floated, always watching. She looked at Rhett and asked plainly, Do you plan to leave her? Rhett blinked. I don't know the future, he said carefully, but I know she deserves someone who doesn't run. The elder stared at him, then slowly nodded. You did not lie. That is rare. Then came the test of respect. Jaya took him to the shrine of her family. Many small glowing orbs floated inside. Memories, names, songs. Rhett didn't ask questions. He stood quietly, hands folded. When Jaya closed her eyes, he did too, and when she whispered the name of her lost sister, he repeated it softly, not knowing its meaning, only that it mattered to her. Later, as the two of them sat beside a quiet stream, Jaya looked at him and said, They were watching today. Rhett grinned. Yeah, I noticed. Felt like I was on a reality show. Jaya tilted her head. What is that? Something humans use to embarrass themselves. She smiled faintly. They were not trying to embarrass you. They were trying to see if you fit, if your heart is real. He looked at her seriously now. I never thought I'd come to this station and end up being part of something this big. She touched his hand lightly. You didn't just walk into my life. You stood still when you could have walked away. That night the clan gathered. Errol announced it formally. The human has passed all 3 trials of presence, truth, and respect. The path to bond is now open. Rhett didn't fully understand all the rules, but he did understand Jaya, and her smile as she looked at him now was the clearest message he'd ever seen. A rival challenges the bond, and Rhett steps forward to defend her. The next day, the mood across Outpost Veer 9 shifted. Trellians walked faster. Elders whispered. Some watched Rhett Carter closely as he passed. Even Zaya seemed quieter. When Rhett asked what was wrong, she didn't answer right away. But her tentacles moved in a tight circle. Something he'd learned meant she was uneasy. Finally, at mid-meal, Eral, the clan witness, called for a gathering. The message spread fast. A challenge had been issued. In the Hall of Echoes, the largest chamber of the Trellian section, Rhett stood beside Jaya in silence. Dozens of Trellians stood in rows. Some glowed faintly, some whispered. Many stared only at the tall figure standing on the far side of the room. A warrior, strong, tall, proud. His name was Valoran, and his tentacles moved with perfect control, stiff and sharp. He wore dark armor etched with clan marks. He stepped forward. I challenge the human for the bond, Valoran said. Jaya inhaled sharply. Valoran, no. He ignored her. You are young. You don't know what you've chosen. The human is soft. Weak. He cannot carry your name. Rhett raised his hand. Excuse me. You have no right to speak yet, Valoran snapped. Eral stepped forward. By law, the human must answer the challenge. Rhett looked at Zaya. She shook her head. I never chose him, she said softly. He speaks for himself, not me. That changed everything, the crowd murmured. Valoran looked smug. Then let us settle this. He drew a blade, a glowing crescent of energy. Rhett blinked. You want me to fight that? Jaya stepped forward. You don't have to, just step away, let the bond break. Rhett looked at her, then at the sword, then back at her, and slowly, he stepped forward. No, he said. I'm not stepping away. You're not a prize. You're a person. You're Zaya, and if he's fighting to take you like some object, I'll stand in the way. Jaya's eyes widened. Valoran laughed. With what? You have no blade. Rhett stood firm. I don't need one. Valoran raised his sword and charged. The crowd gasped. Rhett didn't move. But just before the blade could strike, a shimmering wall of energy flared between them. Jaya stood behind Rhett, her tentacles glowing brighter than ever. She had created the shield. Not out of fear, out of choice. She stepped forward, eyes locked with Valoran. I reject your challenge. He froze. She turned to Eral. I will complete the bond with the human. Not because he fought. She looked at Rhett. But because he stood. Valoran growled and stepped back. He couldn't fight a bond declared freely, and in that moment, everyone in the chamber understood. This wasn't a mistake, this wasn't a joke, this was real. That night, as they walked through the quiet halls of the station, Zaya whispered, You didn't even try to win. Rhett smiled. I didn't have to. You were never a prize. She looked at him for a long time, then reached for his hand, and didn't let go. He asks her what she really wants, and her answer shakes him. The stars outside Outpost Vire 9 glowed. Softly that night, everything was quiet. But inside Rhett Carter's chest, his heart wasn't. He walked beside Zaya, neither of them saying much. Her hand was still in his. Warm, soft, strong. And yet, Rhett needed to know. They sat near the edge of the observation deck, watching ships drift across the sky. Jaya's tentacles curled gently around her knees. He glanced at her, then finally asked, Do you really want this? She turned to look at him. This... What? She asked softly. Rhett swallowed. This bond. Me. All of it. I know it started as a misunderstanding. Then came the tests, the challenge, the rituals. But what about you? What do you want? Jaya didn't answer. At first the silence stretched. She looked out the window. I've been asked that question only once before, she whispered, and I didn't know the answer then. And now? Rhett asked gently. She turned to him. Her eyes were calm, shining. Now I do. I want to be chosen. Not by tradition. Not by accident. I want to be loved because someone sees me. Rhett felt his breath catch. She continued, voice low but sure. You didn't know our rules. You made a mistake. But instead of running, you stayed. You listened. You learned. You faced danger, and you let your heart speak. She leaned closer, tentacles brushing against his arm. And that's why I choose you. Not because of a phrase, because of the person who said it. Rhett looked down at her hand resting in his. Then he looked at her face. No fear, no pressure, just truth. He reached up slowly, brushing one of her tentacles with the back of his fingers. You asked what I feel, he said. Jaya's breath caught. He smiled. I don't know much about bonding rituals, but I know how I feel when I see you walk into a room. Her cheeks glowed faint pink. I know how I feel when you talk, when you stand beside me, when you choose me. He leaned in, and I think I meant that compliment more than I knew. Her tentacles wrapped softly around his wrist. She leaned, her forehead gently against his. No more words, just warmth. Later that night she whispered, You've passed all our trials, but you never needed them. Why? He asked. Because you already understood the most important part, she replied. He smiled. What's that? She answered with one word. Respect. What started as a joke became the bond that changed two worlds. The great hall of Outpost Vire 9 was decorated with soft lights. Glowing flowers floated in water bowls. The air smelled like sea herbs and warm metal. Trellians, humans, and several other species gathered in quiet rows. They had never seen a bonding ceremony between a human and a Trellian before. But today, they would. Rhett Carter stood at the center, wearing clean robes of white and gray. He had shaved, polished his boots, and for the first time in his life, was nervous about how his words might change a future, not just his, but hers. Beside him stood Jaya, shining. Her tentacles flowed like waves behind her, glowing with soft blue and pink colors. She wore a silver wrap across her shoulders and a calm smile on her face. The elder Errol raised his staff. This bond began with a phrase, he said. A phrase not spoken in tradition, but spoken with a heart that did not yet understand its power. He looked at Rhett, and now that heart knows. Errol nodded to Rhett. You may speak your vow. Rhett took a breath, then looked at Jaya. I once said something without thinking, he began. I told you your tentacles looked great. A few chuckles rolled through the room. Rhett smiled. But I didn't realize then how much that moment would mean. Not just to you, but to me. He stepped closer. I didn't know your people. I didn't understand your world. But I saw you. And now I never want to stop seeing you. Every day. Every word. Every choice. Errol turned to Zaya. She looked at Rhett and said softly, You made me feel visible. You made me feel chosen, not because of tradition, but because of kindness. And from that kindness came truth. I choose you, Rhett Carter. Now, and always. A soft wave of glowing light spread through her tentacles. The elders lit the binding flame. The ceremony was complete. The crowd rose in quiet applause, some human, some Trellian, some simply stunned. Later that evening, as they stood on the quiet observation deck, Rhett held her hand. So, he said, when I said your tentacles looked great, Jaya smiled. You said it again just now. He blinked. Did I? She leaned closer. Yes, and now I know you meant it. And with stars behind them and peace between them, the two who met by accident now stood together by choice. What started as a joke became the bond that changed two worlds.